So now we're going to figure out how to make a formula y equals a times b to the x from a geometric sequence. So let's start with this geometric sequence that we can see has a multiplier of 2. 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, 8 times 2 is 16. And just like we did with the arithmetic sequence, what we're going to do is make a table. The first value is where x equals 1. The second value is where x equals 2, and so on. So if we have our formula y equals a times b to the power of x, we can immediately fill in b with the number 2, our common ratio. So how do we fill in the a? Well, just like in our arithmetic sequence, we need to figure out what happens when x equals 0. Well, what number can I multiply by 2 to get 2? Well, in this case, it's just 1, because 1 times 2 equals 2. So if I plug that into my formula, I get y equals 1 times 2 to the x. And because 1 times anything is just itself, we say y equals 2 to the x. I'm going to try 2 more examples. Remember, I'm trying to make the equation y equals a times b to the x, where b is my common ratio, what I'm multiplying by or dividing by, and a is the corrective factor, or where I'm starting. So in order to figure those out, first I need to figure out what I'm multiplying by. 12 times 3 is 36. 36 times 3 is 108. So I know that my b in the first sequence is 3. To figure out my a, I'm going to make my table and put the first value under x equals 1, the second under x equals 2, and the third under x equals 3. Then I have to figure out what happens when x equals 0. Well, what number times 3 is going to equal 12? I know that 4 times 3 equals 12. So my first number is 4, and that goes into a. My equation is going to be y equals 4 times 3 to the x. Let's check that. If I put in 0, I get y equals 4 times 3 to the 0 equals 4 times 1, because anything to the 0 equals 1. So that works for my first value there. What about y equals 4 times 3 to the 1? That equals 4 times 3, which equals 12. So that works too. Y equals 4 times 3 squared equals 4 times 9 equals 36. So that works. And y equals 4 times 3 cubed equals 4 times 27, also equals 108. So that works. For the second problem, I got to figure out how do I get from 60 to 30. In this case, I either divide by 2 or I multiply by a half. It's the same thing. So I either divide by 2 or multiply by a half. So in y equals a times b to the x, I know that my b is going to be 1/2. To figure out my a, I'm going to use my table and try to figure out where x equals 0. What can I divide by 2 to equal 60? Well, what if I try 120? Divided by 2 equals 60. So I know that for my second geometric sequence, y equals 120 times 1/2 to the x.